Have you ever considered engine bars, crash bars? I have been for a little while. Up till now I've been making do with the BMW OEM plastic cylinder heads. But I'm thinking of sort of increasing my touring and also looking to mount a few things like exterior driving lights, maybe some cameras and stuff like that. So I'm thinking to go towards engine bars. But on doing some research here in Australia, the genuine BMW engine bars, the OEM bars, are around $850 Australian, which is quite exorbitant. There's a number of other companies that also provide crash bars for this bike with good reputable names, like SW Motec, Hepco and Becker, but they're all sort of in the $400 to $500 to $600 Australian range, still quite expensive. Maybe if you've also been in the situation of doing the research, you've noticed that the products from China, or some of the products from China that you can buy on AliExpress, are much cheaper. In fact, less than $200 Australian. There's sort of a reputation that they might be weak in quality, but I've said some reviews that say quite the opposite, that in terms of the quality of the mild steel and other aspects and the workmanship, they're quite similar to the ones you're paying twice and three times as much as. So in order to look into this, I ordered some and they came very quickly. I have to be honest, it was very impressive. They arrived from China to here in about 6 days, I think. It was less than a week anyway. So I've taken the outside pack off before I realised what it was coming, but I'm going to open it up and have a look at it for the first time here with you today. So they've sort of come nicely packed up in this box, and looks like each of the engine bars comes individually. So we've got, might just lay them out here. Quite nicely padded and protected in the case. Doesn't look like there's any instructions, so it might be a case of make your best estimate of how to do it, and good luck. Shove this away. So we got the two engine bars there that look to me like they mount like that onto the bike. So looking from the front, it'll be something like that, and side on. And there's one little package left in here, which I presume is all the nuts and bolts. So we'll have a little bit of a look at this one. And indeed, it is the nuts and bolts. Looks like a number of spacers here. Looks like some spacers. A couple of long screws, all with Allen heads, a couple of washers and a smaller one. So looks like there's no instructions, so it's up to us to work out how it's going to be done. But anyway, that's what we've got in the box. So you see the spacers and screws, all different lengths and widths there. So challenge accepted, China. Look closely at the wells themselves, they look pretty reasonable. I would say there's nothing there to make me think this is anything other than reasonable workmanship. The finish is good. And definitely the casting all looks pretty good. Lot better than definitely I've seen and lots of other bits and pieces from bikes and other things over the years, particularly the early tractors that came out of Belarus when the Soviet Union first opened up. We used to joke that we would weigh them before we went out in the field, then weigh them when we came back to judge how much had fallen off. But look, these look quite good. So I'll be interested to see how well they fitted this, particularly to the BMW R1200R. Okay, well, let's see how we go about putting all this stuff onto the bike. So first, a couple of shots of the bike. You can see I've got those plastic OEM cylinder head covers, and the bike is clear of any other bits and pieces in that area. So let's look at what we really need to do this job, and I'll fess up, I've actually had a bit of play with it first, rather than show me fluffing around with everything on this video. So the bits and pieces which came with the pack, there are 4 spaces, 1 short one, 2 medium-sized ones and a long one. There are 6 screws, and obviously the 2 longer ones, the 4 longer ones go with the spaces. Now, having had a bit of a play with it before, the actual 2 smaller, or the 2 smaller of the 4 spaces are for the right hand side of the bike, and the 2 longer of the spaces are for the left hand side of the bike. So I'm going to start off with the right hand side. In terms of the screws, they are, the largest one needs a 10mm hex head to drive it, the middle ones are 8mm, and the small ones are a 5mm hex head. I need a torque wrench according to BMW specs for those particular bolts. The bottom ones are 25 Newton meters, and the top ones, which are this small one, are at 9 Newton meters. The other thing we'll need here obviously are the Torx head bits to actually get the screws out of the BMW body, and we need some medium strength Loctite or thread seal, or thread locker I should say. Medium grade being defined as hand tool removable. So as you probably know, thread locker is a chemical bond. I guess it's an alternative to using a spring washer or a nylock nut, but we don't have those in this case, so we're going to use some medium grade head locker. Now, as for the screws, this one up the top here is the one which we need to get out. And down the bottom here, starting on the right hand side, this big fellow here, and this one here has no screw in it already, so it's clear. Okay, so the first one we need to remove is this little screw up here. Now that one needs a T30 wrench, and I'll just adjust this one so I can take it out. It should only be done up with like a 9 Newton meter force or torque, and he comes out reasonably easy by himself there now. We'll lay that one aside, and the bottom one is actually a T55 bit. So once again we'll get into here, and that's set on tight, so let's release him off. Now this one will be a little bit stronger, having been on a 25 Newton meter torque setting. Okay, they're all coming out reasonably well. I'll just do that one manually. I think that's just about out. Okay. Let's now grab our engine bar. Let's see if we can roughly make sure it's the right sort of spaces, and we just might finger tight it hold. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite onto this one. So a little bit of thread lock. It's only going to be the last few little bits of thread, which we know because the actual screw that was in there was not very large. So I'll actually put this guy through, just finger tight it up there a little bit if we can get it to sit. There we go, that's actually got it started. I might use my little wrench just to start it up a bit. Ah, that one, just tighten that one up. Just tighten it up a little bit to hold it in place, that's about enough. Okay, we'll now get our two spacers, the smaller one here. Okay. Let's fit our spacers into place here. Get the little one first. The smaller one goes on this side here, like that. And that leaves a larger space here on this side for this guy. And then we need to move it up into place. And similarly, I might just hold it in place with this big guy. I just hold in place with the big guy, just briefly, while I get the little one ready. Okay, little one's roughly in place there. I'll just get a little bit of thread locker on that. Once again, it's only the end bits, because it's doesn't go in too long. Nice little bit of thread locker on there. I'll just prepare my 8mm Allen head for that one. Yeah, and we'll see if I can get that started in there. Get that started. I think that's the way. Let's see if we can do that one up. Finger tight for start, and I'll get the torque wrench in subsequently. Okay, that'll do. Now I'll take this guy out again, and I'll just put a little bit of thread locker before doing him up as well. And of course I need my larger bit. Should be plenty. There we go. A little bit of thread lock once again. Too much. We'll start that one into place, okay. We'll do him up. Okay, all seems to be going in quite okay. Okay, we'll just do it up to there for now. Okay, so we've got all our bolts in. Things relatively stable. I'll just grab my torque wrench. I'll pop these ones up to the full 29. Okay, let's pop those in. Sorry, not 29, 25 Newton meters. I'll put all these details in the notes. There we are. And the next one, similarly, this goes up to 25 as well. There we are. And the top one, I'm actually going to do just manually, because I think that my torque wrench I don't trust down around the 9mm, so I think I'm just going to do this one up manually, just because it doesn't need to be very much. That's about it. And there we have it. The right hand engine bar's on. Doesn't look too bad. Okay, let's spin this baby around. Okay, we move to the left-hand side. Sorry to have deprived you of the excitement of me taking out the Torx head screw here, and also there was no need to take one out up here. The one up the top, the actual bracket itself is threaded, so there's no need to take a bolt out. So just the single Torx head bolt that was taken out at T55. So let's do the same as what we did on the other side. We might just put this guy in here and just get this through here in a finger tight fashion to hold it in place while we position everything. Do that guy up, that should do for that one. Now, the medium-sized screw that goes on this side goes with the longer spacer, and it goes at the front. The medium-sized screw with the longer spacer at the front. The geometry is a little bit different on the right-hand side. So that goes up into there. I'll hold that in place. That's right. I just might get that screw in there just to hold it in place. I'll position the last one. That's got him started, I think. Okay, and similarly on the back, you've got the longer screw with the second of the medium spacers. Okay, so I think, at least according to the best of my ability to judge, the thing is on. Okay, so there we have it. What do you think? I actually think they look good. Quite nice looking items, and they certainly look a little bit like the OEM ones from the front. And with this nice black and white frame that the 2011 Classic has, or black and silver I should say, I think it's quite a nice aesthetic fit at least. The weak part to me looks like this joint right up the top. It's a very small bolt, it's got a very long arm on it. Admittedly though, in a crash it's going to be under compression rather than tension, but of course if you're at speed it's going to tend to push back, and I think that'll be the weak spot up there. I note that the BMW OEM crash bars, as well as the Hepco and Becker and some others, have an actual member that goes in the front here, connects the two bars and actually screws right into the body of the frame there to give added support. But as far as the fixings down the bottom, I think that feels very firm. It's two braced points. So I think the weakness is going to be up the top. To be honest, I think it really improves the look of the bike as well. Gives it a bit of a chunkier sort of a look maybe. Certainly more of a traditional boxer twin look. For me, anyway. Okay, to simplify things and summarise, I guess, what I learnt about installing these engine bars, I've taken a from above view of a 2006 to 2014 BMW R1200R. They look pretty cool from above, don't they? You don't often see it from that angle. Anyway, if we consider this to be, I'll refer to the left hand side and right hand side facing forward. Firstly, for the bottom bracket of each engine bar, you can see there I've listed which of the spaces and which of the screws goes where. I won't go through reading them out because I'm sure you can pause and take a screenshot of that if you need it. Another way maybe to conceptualize it or to illustrate it would be to number off and numeral off the screws and the spaces, and similarly there we have it laid out. Okay, if we go to the top brace point, it's one on the left and two on the right. Okay, now the last bit of information I'll probably summarise is what my research was on the prices. And once again, these are all as shipped to Brisbane, Australia. And as you can see, the Chinese ones that I installed from AliExpress, around about bit less than half the next cheapest one that I found, and almost 4 times as cheap as the BMW genuine part. And of course those prices are at May 2022. Okay, well, job done. I guess time will tell how good engine bars these are. Just a couple of points I wanted to make. Firstly, cost. Look, I know we'd all like to get the best things possible for our bikes, but the reality is I, and probably you, have a budget that you have to work with your bikes or bike. And money saved on an item like this is money I can spend on other items. So for me, to spend about 200 bucks Australian compared to 600 or 800 bucks is a good saving. And as I've said throughout the video, as far as I can see, these are quite well made, and I've got no reason to doubt them in terms, in comparison with any of the others that I have mentioned in this video. So a couple other points I'd like to make. No instructions were provided. As I pointed out, you know, that's really not very impressive. It's not a difficult thing to do. If you look at some of the competitors here, SW Motec gives some very comprehensive instructions saying exactly what's going to go where. It would have been really nice for AliExpress to do the same. But that being said, the fitment of the bars was actually very good. The threaded holes on the bike engine actually aligned perfectly with the bars. The spacers and the screws are also perfect in terms of length and sizes. But as I said, I needed quite a lot of time to actually work out where everything went and suss it all out, which was a bit of pain in the neck. The instructions would have been good and appreciated, and I really think AliExpress should get their act together and get some instructions. In terms of the cylinder head, the engine bar placement, access to the cylinder heads looks very good. I can very easily get in here and take my plastic cylinder head covers off and access the cylinder head for valve clearance checks and so forth without having to take the engine bars off. And in that sense, they're a bit like the ones from Hepco and Becker, and I think there's a couple of others. Within the range of available ones, I think the SW Motec and even the OEM, the BMW genuine crash bars, you have to actually take them off before you can service the cylinder heads. So it looks good in that regard. I mentioned earlier my doubts over strength, but it should be said that this method of mounting like this with a single bolt up the top here without a supporting bracket between the left and right hand crash bars is the same as the SW Motec ones and the Heed ones. So look, I actually am prepared to give it the benefit of the doubt. It looks well made, and I think they're likely to be just as strong as any of those mentioned ones. So look, that's about it. I hope that if you're considering these AliExpress bars, this video has been useful for you. Hopefully it'll have saved you a little bit of time messing around working out what goes where. If the video was useful for you, please give it a like and leave me any comments in the notes below. And apart from that, I'll say farewell and happy motorcycling.